middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no Great War, no Great Depression. Our Great War is a spiritual war.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this new little show that we decided to do here. This is a New York Italian free zone, at least for tonight. So hopefully you've all had enough of Anthony and you're all ready to have me back after the birth of my fourth child. So yeah, I figured we'd ease back into things by doing this tonight before I get to have to deal with Anthony. But anyways, so my co-host tonight and for this new, hopefully weekly show is Adrian. So Adrian, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Adrian. I'm on X as Guns and Rosaries. I actually got with Rob about doing this show a while ago. This has kind of been in the works for a couple of months and just waiting for schedules to hammer out.
Yeah.
The purpose of this, really the onus of wanting to do this show was there is a dearth of good Catholic content out there regarding, gun tube. Not that I'm a gun tuber, but just some good information out there for us. And there's a lot of things that are misunderstood about some of the topics that that are important to me. And just kind of where I come from. I did 8 years in the Marines. Did a couple of combat deployments. After the Marines, I got out and I was a firefighter for a while. And then I've moved on to more of an office job now, which happens when you have 4 kids. It's a little easier to handle. Those 24-48s in the fire department were rough on the kids. So maybe one day I'll tell you all the reason I got away from the fire department was actually because of one of my kids. But got away from that, and now we live on a homestead. We've got cows and pigs and chickens. And in fact, I had to move my wife move over my cows earlier so I can milk them in the morning because tomorrow's voting day down here in Alabama. We're voting for our mayor here in this little town I live in. So I got to wake up early and get that stuff done. But the purpose of this and the reason that we talked about doing this was we want to share the knowledge we have. But I foresaw more of this being a platform for people to get together and ask questions and put things out, because I am sure there are some of you out there that have way more knowledge in a lot of topics than I do. I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I know a lot of bit about a couple of things. And the goal here is just to really be a community and to be able to share knowledge amongst each other. That way we can help each other out, because the less we are reliant on other people, the better off we can be, and the more we can provide for other people when in the abundance that we may have.
Yeah. For me, like I really have no professional experience with firearms, with emergency prep, anything like that. I'm really just kind of an enthusiast. And for me, when I went to, look for more information, I always found there's like two sides, especially to like so-called gun tube. You'd have on one side, you'd have someone like Brandon Herrera, which I enjoy watching, I enjoy his stuff, but you're going to get at least 3 or 4 like GDs during the show, and a lot of cursing, swearing, and it's something, as a 30-some-year-old man, like, yeah, I can handle that, but I don't want my kids in the room, things like that. And on the other side of it, you'd have someone like John Lovell of Warrior Poet Society, which is going to be family friendly, but you're going to get some like evangelical dispensationalist stuff with it too. There's not a lot in the middle that I as a Catholic could go to for stuff on firearms, for stuff on emergency prep, things like
Mhm.
that. So figured why don't we kind of create it ourselves? And like I
Yeah.
said, I'm no expert. You know way more than me, but hopefully, like you said, we can find some
Yeah.
real experts to come on and help people with stuff.
And to be honest, the biggest benefit I bring is I know a lot of people, and I can bring a lot of guys in that can really educate us on a lot of things, and really give us better insight into some aspects.
Mhm.
Uh, and one thing that we've seen lately as well is, um, a lot of veterans are held up on a pedestal when they shouldn't be. Tim Kennedy stuff, and just, I mean, the man was already in a very elite unit, and he felt the need to even embellish that. And then now, recently, I don't know if you saw this, but uh, McPhee Shrek basically came out and found out that he's just a terrible human being.
Mm.
And so like, this is really the goal for this is to be um, just a better place for us. You don't have to worry about if your kids do watch it, right? Need to learn about some stuff. That you don't have to worry about us having to censor anything for some of this information we give out. Um, and so, from there, it's just a matter of bringing on some subject matter experts, as we call
Yep.
it, to be able to help us out. Um, but yeah,
What
go ahead.
what do you foresee? Like this show. What do you foresee us talking about, just in general, week to week on this show?
Um, so like specifically like for tonight, we're going to do some wave tops over some things. We're not going to go into depth on and anything too much, but from here, getting into things like, what are some aspects of self-reliance that most people don't think about. Like one of them is a friend of mine, Mike Shelby, who runs Forward Observer. Setting up an area of intelligence and knowing what's around you, right? Because until you get outside the fog of war, to use some nomenclature, but until you understand what the threats are around you, you don't know what you have to prepare for, right? Is one
Mhm.
aspect. We'll get into some guns, right? We'll get into that kind of stuff, and we've all got our opinions about them.
Yep.
I see we have our 320 fans already in the chat. We'll get into that. We'll get into what the thing is. Like when I used to teach fire training to a bunch of people when I lived in Georgia, and it was just like on the side, just as free as like a community thing, right? And the first thing I always told everybody is, look, what I tell you is just one way to do it, right? You should be going out and getting a whole lot more information other than what I give you, because what works for me may not work for you, right? Like for instance, on my EDC, I carry appendix. Some guys are too big to do that. Some guys are too bony to do that, right? Just you have to figure out what's good for you. So, as the weeks come on and we'll be responding to some stuff as well. We might respond to some things that happen. And we might bring on some guys who aren't Catholic.
Yeah.
You have some good information on some things as well. Just know this is more or less is going to be an information sharing event, and sometimes it's going to be me learning just as much as you.
Yeah. Like you said, it's not going to necessarily be like explicitly a Catholic show. It's just we hope it to be a show safe for Catholics more than
Yes,
anything. So we
exactly.
will have like I would have John Lovell on if we were to ever get him. I'd have no problem with that as long as we had to
Yes.
talk about Israel
Or theology.
or theology. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
um. Okay, so this is gonna be for those of you used to avoiding Babylon. This is gonna be very different because Adrian wrote an outline.
Yeah,
So
actually, was
we're
prepared
organized. We're
prior
prepared.
prior to the day of. In fact, I sent it to Rob like last week, and he just texted me. And he's taking on some of Anthony's characteristics. He texted me this morning. Where was those notes? Where did you send me that link? So I had to resend him the link so he could look at them for today.
I had a
Uh,
child last week. Give me a break.
You slept on a comfortable pull-out bed.
That's true. Way better than the chair. Way better. Moving on up.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go through these a few items, and we'll expound on them as we go through them. But
Did we want to save time specifically at the end for questions? Do we want to do those
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can
during?
save some time at the end for questions.
Okay.
But so my first item is, to get started on self-reliance is, you have to establish some discipline. You have to set up, even if it's just a little bit every day. Like one thing that, um, I've had to get back into, because being out of the Marines for a while, you kind of lose some of it.
Mm,
But one thing I had to get used to again is, especially since I have the homestead, and that kind of helped, was uh, getting up early, right?
yeah.
Like stop sleeping in. And now, like if I sleep until like 6:30, 7 o'clock, like that's sleeping in now, because I'm usually up at 5:30, right? Just establishing this. If you get up earlier, like I've got 4 kids between, young 5 to 12, right?
Hmm.
Um, and thank goodness my son actually sleeps in now, because he was my son is like full of joy all day every day, and he would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and
Yep.
he would wear me out.
Yep.
And I was like, man, if I have to get up at 4 o'clock, just get up before him. That's unacceptable. We got to figure something out. So getting up at 5:30, is what I do. And that gives you time to do things like, get your prayer in. Because I don't know about y'all, but other than the family rosary,
Mm,
uh, other than that family rosary, like it's hard for me between work, homesteading, helping my wife with the kids when I'm able, right? If she's not running around, doing all her stay-at-home mom stuff, educating the kids and all that. I don't have a whole lot of time for prayer. Like it's maybe in the car, right? I've got some time. And then I'm
yeah.
trying to listen to podcasts, catch up on stuff either for work or other things. So getting up in the morning and setting that time for prayer is the big thing. Or in reading scripture specifically. If I can just read a chapter, I'm good. I don't get to that every day, but but if I do get it in, it'll be then. And then working out. I have to work out in the mornings, otherwise it does not happen. The day gets going and I get too tired by the end of the day when I've actually got some time and I can't do it.
Yeah. As a father of kids older than mine, because my sleep schedule has been blown to heck by children.
Mhm.
How did you get back into a normal sleep schedule? Did it just come as they kind of aged up, or?
Man, I envy you because you still can have kids. Like we're past the time where we can have any more kids.
Yeah.
But I also don't envy you because you do sleep. We were blessed because our kids at about 6 months, they started sleeping through the night.
Yeah.
And then once they got through that, then we were pretty okay. And, I was getting at least 6-7 hours a night. Now, when I was at the fire department and we had my first and my second, the station I was at, I was not sleeping while I was there. I was a medic, so I was running 24 hours the entire time.
Mm,
So I never got to sleep like other firefighters did. And when I came home, I'd have to stay up because because the kids are at school, and I'd have to keep one with me at home so we didn't use daycare. And like I might sleep 8 hours every 2 days, right?
oof.
Sometimes, and those are rough times, and those are seasons that you get through, right? And that's why it is. I tell these young guys at our parish, have kids young. Kids are a young man's game, right? I had our youngest when I was 38, and she wears me out still. So it's a matter of just getting through it and suffering through it and just being okay with it and just get sleep when you can.
Yeah.
So for you, when you get up in the morning, if you can get up before the kids are, is that a time that you like to take care of certain things?
Yeah. For instance, I mean, so I have a day job besides, doing everything for the podcast. So I find that the morning before anyone else wakes up and before I go to work for my day job is when I can get stuff done for the podcast, like setting
Mhm.
up the shows, creating the thumbnails, uploading the audio to the audio podcast, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I need to get up earlier than that too, like you said, to do private
Yep.
prayer and work out too.
Well, and like even just working out, if you're just like walking for 30 minutes, right? So some of y'all that, in the chat that might not be like, I just don't have time to go to the gym. I get that. Like, there are things you can do that aren't like I'm not in the best shape either, right? I've got some injuries and stuff from the Marine Corps that I've got back issues and stuff, so I can't do certain stuff for too long. I've been able to, I'm healed enough a little bit now to where I can get back and actually lift weights. And I've been doing that recently, and that'll humble you. You haven't been lifting for a while, and you were deadlifting 405, and now you got to drop down to 150 because your back is killing you, right? Like that'll humble you real quick. But, but just doing something. Like we have a circular driveway that's uphill half the time. And I'll just walk that sometimes. And if I need to, I'll throw a pack on my back if I,
Yeah.
need a little bit extra, and I'll do that for 30 minutes and that'll be it. You just got to get in what you can. And then as time goes on and, you're able to add in a little bit more, or you got kids and you run around with them, that's exercise too.
Kids are definitely exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So the next one is gathering information on the food needs of your family, right? So the first thing is establishing discipline, because if you have to establish discipline as the basis, and that helps flesh out everything else. That gives you the assistance to be able to have that foundation to establish other aspects in this. Food is going to be the one thing that everyone needs to work on more, even myself, even though I don't buy meat. I raise all my own meat now. We have pigs, we have chickens. I've got meat chickens coming in next week. I'll be raising them for about 8-9 weeks, and then we'll process them and we'll have them. But still, there are things that my kids don't eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's frustrating, having kids that won't eat the food you put in front of them. But when kids don't eat, right, because they don't have any food for whatever reason. So if you ever go on a long road trip and your kids are hungry, they are a terror, right? And they are whiny and it just grates on you. So having food set aside for those leaner times, right? And the big thing I always advise guys, look, every time you go to the grocery store, buy a little bit more and put it away, right? Some non-perishables. Look, if you're buying creamed corn because you like creamed corn, we're in the South, we love our creamed corn, right? Well, I do, my kids. Might buy an extra can and then put that away, right? And slowly build it up. The goal is to get to 3 months. You get to 3 months eventually, then you can weather a lot of things. And then, from there you try and get to 6 months and then maybe a year, because if you've got a year worth of food and you lose your job, right, for whatever reason, you don't have to worry about groceries for a year. That's one thing at least you're eating, right?
That's true.
If you've got enough food put away, then you don't have to worry about, hey, COVID hit and we couldn't go to the grocery store for a while, right? And when you did go, you couldn't get anything that you liked. So now your kids are having to eat ramen noodles, because that was the only thing that was left, whatever it is. So if you have those things put away, you can do those things. Now, the goal is to eventually raise your food if you can. You can do it in an apartment. There's all kinds of channels out there that will show you how you can raise a bunch of food, even in an apartment. But if you can put some away for a while to give you that benefit, then that's going to be a whole lot, take a whole lot off your plate.
Yeah.
What do y'all do? Do you do any canning or any preserving, or do you just buy a bunch of food and hope you never eat it all?
So we have kind of an emergency food supply of all your lovely Mormon packed I forget the brand name, but the basically buckets of food, along with we like to go camping a lot, so we have a lot of freeze dried camping food that we use for camping, but we also have on hand in case of emergency.
Gotcha.
And then I have a few cases of MREs too. So we definitely have probably 6 weeks worth of non-perishable, shelf-stable food. The downside to a lot of it is the freeze-dried stuff. You need a fair amount of potable water to even prepare the food. So that's one thing I'm always thinking about too is how do we make sure we have a safe water supply? Not just to drink, but to cook with and things of that nature.
Yeah, we and this will get into the next topic here in a second, but we've had a lot of issues with our water supply in our town. The water, forever going out for no reason. I wake up one morning and I can't take a shower because there's no water coming to the house. And that was a concern for us. So I started looking into like rain catchment, or
Yep.
we had a well on our property that was not working, and so we threw some money into it to get it repaired and got it working. So now we have a well, and our house is now run on the well, and it's fantastic. If y'all have never tested your water that you get at home, you could, but you're not going to like it. The amount of chlorine that's in most municipal water supplies is more than most swimming pools.
Yep.
And it's horrible. But and that's the other issue is getting enough water. FEMA for the longest time advised, at least 1 gallon per person per day for up to 2 weeks, right? So if you've got a family of 6, you're needing 6 gallons a day. Is that 42 a week? You're looking at 84 gallons of need for 2 weeks, right? That's, basically 2 55-gallon drums that you could just fill up, right? And just be okay with, and just keep throwing, purifying tablets into it to keep it good for a while.
Yep.
But that's a short-term plan.
And that's not a lot of water per day either. Like that barely, fulfills your hydration needs, let alone what other things you might need water for.
Yeah. If your power goes out in the winter up in Minnesota, right, and you get out there shoveling snow, right, you're going to be burning a lot of calories.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it's cold, you're going to need a lot of water because you're going to be burning a lot, especially if you're sweating out there, and then you start shivering, it makes it even worse, right? So a gallon a day is not a lot.
No.
That's basically just drinking water and your baby wiping it, right? There's no baths going on, no showers, right? So, but the goal would be to try and get to 3 gallons of water per person per day for a while. Again, 55-gallon drums work great. You can buy, and you can get a pump that goes into them, so you can pump the water out of it.
Yep.
And those are called bung holes, and that is the proper term for them, the bung hole. And
sounds like a term a Marine made up.
But you would think it's the bung hole pump, and that way you can pump out the water when you need it. But if you live in an apartment, right, it's going to be hard to have 2 55-gallon drums to be able to put anywhere, right? Because that's a lot of weight. 8 pounds per gallon, right? You're looking at least 400 pounds each, right? You're looking at almost 1,000 pounds of water having to hold up. So that's going to be a hard ask. So you might need to figure some stuff out. Maybe they make water bricks you can fit like under the bed. You can do those.
Oh, interesting. Like a big flat sort of container to
they can be. So
they
come in like 1 gallon or 2 gallon sizes, and they kind of click together like Legos.
Okay.
Right? So they can stack on top of each other, and you can do them out, whatever. And they've got like a little, cap on one end so you can pour it out. So I've seen some guys that they'll have like a coat closet that's just full of water, right? Just stackable water. But the other aspect is, what if your water goes bad? Like your water's not getting purified before it gets to you. There's a break in the line or something. You got to have some way to clean it.
Yeah.
Boiling it, is great. It gets rid of viruses and stuff, but it doesn't get rid of everything.
Doesn't get rid of chemicals, no.
Not at all. So you might have to filter if you've got like a Berkey or something, or you can make your own Berkey. It's cheaper, right? And then you know how to do it. But Berkey is real easy to just buy on Amazon, but it's expensive.
They are spendy. And I mean, there's lots of other solutions too. I live in an area that's super big on canoeing and camping and hiking and things like that. So you walk in almost any store up here, and they have the life straws and other water purification sort of methods. So there are lots of different ways to go about it.
Like what we have here, so we have the well, right, for our primary source. But if that ever goes out, I'm probably like a mile away from a river. And so I could just, walk in there and get water if I need to, and then bring it back home. I've got ways to, purify it, whether it be chemical, I've got purification tablets or whatever.
Yeah. I heard this too.
So the issue with Berkey, and the information may have changed since the last couple of years, but the issue with Berkey was their filters were filtering out bugs. So the FDA required them to register as a pesticide, and they would not do it. And they were trying to fight the FDA on it. And so eventually they kind of had to rename and rebrand. So there's another company now that sells the exact same thing. You had to be careful not to buy them on Amazon though, because Chinese companies, basically, steal everything. And they steal how to, the capability of making the filters, and they're not as good. But Borox is the new name, Boroux, and it's the same. It's okay. You still have to get like a chlorine filter for them because the filters won't filter out chlorine. You have to get a chlorine filter as well if you want to filter out the chlorine and fluoride. But they're better than nothing, is what it comes down to. So if you can get something just to filter your water, you can make them. There's YouTube channels on, using stackable buckets with sand and, activated charcoal and things like that. You can make your own. You don't have to buy it.
Yeah, that's one nice thing about where I live. In the land of 10,000 lakes, there's ample water available. Just you need some way to purify it.
I got a question.
Yeah,
I heard that Thousand Island dressing was invented in Minnesota because y'all have 1,000 lakes, and that makes sense because y'all are in the Midwest and y'all love your ranch in Thousand Island.
I don't know if that's true.
It would make sense.
It would. What's funny is in our area, I mean, people obviously still use Thousand Island, but Russian dressing tends to be more common and popular, and that's somewhat similar. But I don't know. I've not heard that story about Thousand Island.
Look, I know y'all like y'all don't call them what is it? Y'all call them hot plates. What do you call them?
Hot dishes. What else would you call them?
Look, man, everything down here is Coke. So I try not to get on everybody for things. What kind of Coke you want? I'd like a Sprite, please. But so I like local, cultures and stuff like that.
You sure there's tuna casserole. That's just a hot dish, right? Sure, a casserole, it's hard to describe. There's no such thing as tater tot casserole. That's stupid. It's tater tot hot dish.
Paul's trying to start a war with the Midwest there.
I know well, it's funny. He's a Minnesotan.
Is he? Is he not from Minnesota? Is that the problem? Is he a transplant?
No, I think he's from Minnesota. I don't like ranch either. It's not good.
That is your heritage, man. Where are you?
Well, I'm not from Wisconsin. Okay, give me a break.
You would never hear me say I don't like moonshine, right? That's part of your hair. It's in your blood in the South, right? You'd never hear me say that.
Ranch is not in my blood. Okay.
Some guys, ranch is all their blood.
I know. Yeah. I never understood the whole dip pizza in a ranch thing. Mm-mm.
Now I have tried that. But I've eaten a lot of things. If you eat
crayons, you love your crayons.
I like the purple ones the best. The purple's the
especially
best.
dipped in ranch. So, in case the world ends, make sure you have an ample ranch supply on hand, people.
Look, man, that's the biggest reason I have kids, because they have crayons galore. So it gives me an excuse to buy more crayons.
I don't know where they keep going, hon. They just disappear.
Look, I can't be the only one eating them, apparently. They just keep disappearing. All right, so let's get into the next topic, a communications plan. So when I leave, my office is 25 miles away from my house.
Yeah, mine is too.
Yeah, so and some things I've told my wife is, if something happens, do not leave the house.
Right.
If some event happens, don't leave the house. Stay home. I will come home.
One way or the other.
Yep. Right. So I will be there eventually. It might take me a day or two, but I'll get there. But she also knows, we keep in touch throughout the day, as we should, just seeing how things are going. She's asked me if I'm going to be home in time for dinner. I don't, have work or whatever. But those are just kind of the basics of keeping a communications plan. we used to go by what was called a PACE plan. In my job, we used what's called a PACER plan, but a PACE plan is just having a primary means of communication, like a cell phone, right? An alternate, right? So if I can't get through to her on the cell phone, maybe text, right? If I can't call her, I can text her, because text uses a whole lot less bandwidth than a phone call does.
Yeah.
Right. A contingent. So if neither of those is working for whatever reason, a contingent might be email, right? And then an emergency, like, we have radios we use when we've got some land down the road from us for here. When we go there, I tested out our radios over there, and it'll reach everywhere on that land. And it'll actually get down the road quite a bit too. That could be an emergency route of communication if we need.
When you say radios, you're not talking walkie-talkies. You mean like shortwave?
Yeah, like shortwave. Like I have some Baofangs, right? That I use, and it'll get, I just use GMRS channels. So like when you get into your ham radio,
his brother Joey.
So when you get into like ham radio stuff, like you can get your license, but there's some channels you can use and not have to have a license.
Really?
And so like for instance, GMRS, you can use, you can pay $10 for your whole family for like 10 years. Right? Okay. I think is what it is, 10 years or so. And so there's like there's like 9 or 10 channels. To tell you the best resource for that, is at brushbeater.store. NC Scout over there, he has a book called The Guerrilla's Guide to Baofeng. And it's phenomenal. It can even teach a Marine how to use radios, right? And it just goes through everything. But so what I have on the radios around the house, like if I'm out milking the cows, right?
Yep.
I'll give a radio to the kids, and because I don't want my cell phone on me, I'll give a radio to the kids, and so they can talk to me while I'm out there milking the cows. And it's on a channel that they can't change, right? So they can just they just know I just got to key it up, talk to Dad, and he'll hear me, right? We'll use that, or in the Marines we used it. We always had a guy in the front of the patrol who had a radio, and the guy at the back of the patrol had a radio, and we would talk to each other. And the guy in the back usually was with the fire team leader or whoever, and his radio could also reach base. So if we needed to call in support or whatever, we would do it from the back end guy. But our front man, our point man, is the guy that would, if he comes upon something, he's going to radio back to us, let him know, hey, there's something weird in the road up here or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so and really the hardest thing with comms is just getting used to using them, and not like talking over each other. It's kind of like doing a podcast, right? Like you try not to talk over each other all the time. Radios is the same way.
Some people never learn that lesson, Adrian.
I know this is a nice break for you, isn't it?
It really is.
I saw him on that other show, and like it was
his show all of a sudden, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just had to say something every single time. I was like, man, this is their show. Yeah, you're a guest, and they want to hear what you had to say, but let them talk.
We might have to do an episode one day on the Baofeng stuff, because I did buy a couple, and I did buy that the Guerrilla's Guide. But yeah, it would still be good to do a show on them so I can figure out how to use them.
They're super easy, man. They're super easy, and they're super easy to set up. And then if you get into a point where you want to set up, to be able to get longer distance stuff, then you might want to get licensed for that. Yeah. You don't have to. If you want to talk on it, you can, but you could set it up to talk long distance and never talk on it and just listen. And then when time comes and like we're in a situation of without rule of law, right? Yeah. FCC is not coming to your door, no, right? And so you can key up anytime you want. So
what's the distance on them without without like some of the repeaters and stuff like that?
So when we tested it at my property, we were getting about 2 miles on it. Okay. Through trees and everything. We have down here in the South, we got trees everywhere. Yeah. Hills and everything, right? I'm in the foothills of the Appalachians. So I was getting about 2 miles on it before they were broken and unreadable, as we would say. I couldn't hear them, right? And my kids were like having a ball, seeing how far they could get before they couldn't hear me anymore. But yeah, you can get a pair of Baofangs for like $50. You might even get them cheaper than that now. You get little ones. I don't have any in here right now, but I've got a bunch of them, man. I got one for every kid in case we need it. I got a few for me. I got a few that are a little bit more durable. The make one, it's called the AR-152. And it looks like one of my old radios I use in the Marines, but it's not, right? But it's a lot more durable than my other Baofeng. So if I'm out and it gets rained on, I'm not as concerned about it. So it's just a matter of getting the stuff and then learning how to use it. But you got to establish that communications plan, because if you don't, right, and something happens and you haven't set up something with your family and how to talk to them, they're going to be panicking, and then they're going to start making bad decisions, because then they're going to come get you, and then you're going to try and get home, and y'all going to cross like two ships in the sea and not seeing each other, right? And then you're both going to be in a bad position. All right, so let's get into the last topic, and this is going to be everybody's favorite. All right, before we get into that though, before we get into guns, if you cannot fight, you are worthless, right? If you don't know how to throw a punch and take a punch, it doesn't matter what kind of gun you have, right? You need to learn some type of martial art, whether it's boxing, I don't care if it's jujitsu, even take Krav Maga, I don't care. Take something.
Maybe not Krav Maga, little.
If it gets you off the couch and you get to doing something, you know how to throw a punch,
True.
You're better off than the guy who posted on Reddit, wanting to. Well, I gotta be careful on YouTube. But anyway, you need to take some type of martial art, and just to learn, right? And even it's just to learn how to get punched in the face and not give up.
Yeah.
Because that is the biggest thing. Like in Afghanistan, we were like twice the size of all the Afghanis. So, and really, if we got in a fight with somebody, all we had to do is wrap our arms around them and fall down, and it was over. Like they couldn't get up, right? We were too heavy, we were too strong, they couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that hard. But we live in America where everybody eats meat every day, and guys are a lot bigger here, right? So you need to be able to protect yourself, not just yourself, but your family. If your wife is getting harassed by a guy and you don't know how to settle that without bringing out a firearm, you're going to jail. Right?
Yeah. You need options besides deadly force.
Exactly. And you just learn a few things. Just get a body bag and just learn how to throw punches. There's apps on your phone that will, tell you cadences on, left, right, left hook, right hook, whatever. Right. Just learn something. But which gets into firearms. One thing my dad always taught me was there is never any reason to sell a firearm. Right. You buy a firearm,
True.
You have it for life. You should never sell a firearm. So which firearm do you buy first? My opinion, and again, it's my opinion, and everyone else is going to have their own. But the reason I have this opinion is for a few reasons. But you should have a handgun first. For one, it's portable. You can take it anywhere with you. Here in Alabama, it's constitutional. You can carry. You don't even have to have a license. But you need a reliable pistol. There are lots of pistols out there that are reliable now. But you also need to find the one that you like to shoot. I personally like Glock. It's the ugliest gun I own, but I know when I pull that trigger, it's going to go off. Unlike the 320 where it'll go off without even pulling the trigger.
Hey, they are reliable. They're just reliably terrible.
Look, I just don't like the 320 shake awake feature is really what it comes down to. Could you imagine like getting shot by your own gun and having to explain that to people? Because no one, up until recently, nobody would have believed you.
No, everyone behind your back would have been saying like,
yeah,
well, he pulled the trigger somehow.
Yeah, he pulled the trigger something. But now we have video of guns going off without anybody even touching them. Right. And now all of a sudden, I bet there's a few guys out there feeling vindicated. But personally, I like Glock. I know you recently got into Glock world.
Let's not push it too much. I bought my first Glock. Okay.
What
43X. 43X. Just
it's not. So I have an original 43. And it was like,
that's what, 7-shot, 6-shot?
Maybe not even, maybe 6.
I think it's, I don't know.
I think it's 6. And now I have a mag extension on it, so I'm up to 8. But
Right.
like those little guns, I consider like punch guns, right? They're like a little bit better than me punching, and they're for use within punching range.
Right. Yep.
Because if with something that short of a barrel, like you're not shooting far with that thing
No.
at all, not accurately. You could throw a dot on it, and you might get a little bit better, but it's so unforgiving because it's so small that it's very easy to miss
Hmm.
with that. But I usually carry a 19, mostly because it's easier to conceal. And usually, like when I carry with a 15 rounder in it, and I carry a 20 rounder on me.
Hmm.
Um, so I've got 35 rounds, so if I'm at church or whatever, I've always got at least 35 rounds on me. But I use the 15 rounder in it. I don't put a mag extender on my carry when I'm carrying it because it's easier to conceal.
Yeah.
But I mean, to be honest with you, I could carry one with a mag extender and no one would notice because no one's paying attention to me
That
because everybody's looking at their phones.
that was the I guess my biggest realization when I first started to carry, right? Anyone who carries like will probably know exactly what I mean. But like when you first start, you can just you're imagining that everyone knows, that everyone
Mhm.
can see, and eventually you start to eventually somehow like your shirt will come up and it will be out for an hour and you won't realize it, and no one
Mhm.
else will realize it either. And you realize no one pays attention to anything these days
No, they
unless
really
they're a
don't.
boomer at the county fair and call the
There
cops
was
on you.
so when I used to live in Georgia, there was a guy I used to go train with. He's a former Green Beret. And, he taught me a bunch of stuff. Like in the Marines, they don't teach you how to shoot a pistol. They barely teach you how to use a rifle, right? So everything I've learned, I had to learn after I got out. And I learned a lot of good stuff, right? But one thing that he showed us is we went to the local, what was it called? The Lenox Mall, I think in Atlanta. And one of the guys had an outside the waistband holster on, put his gun in it, didn't even cover it up with his shirt. And this was like 10 years ago, right? And just we walked around all day, and that mall was full all day,
Mhm.
every day. Not a single person said anything to him the entire couple hours we were in there. Not
And I
one
imagine
single.
that mall, I don't know what the laws are down there, but if they're similar to up here, like imagine that mall probably had the no firearms signs, right?
Yeah,
But I'm sure they don't carry force of law.
yeah. Now here in Alabama, those are like suggestions,
Yeah.
um, mostly. But even so, like you have to. We'll get into this in a later show, like concealed carrying, but you have to be willing to accept the consequences of your actions, whether you carry or not. Right. So if you decide not to carry in an area that's a gun-free zone, just be aware that you're the most vulnerable person in there. Um, and if you don't have it on you, and there's no reason for you not to have it on you, then you're accepting responsibility for not properly preparing. Right. But as far as like the first starter gun, I always suggest get a handgun. I don't care if it's a Glock. You don't have to get a Glock. In fact, I don't even always carry a Glock anymore. I've been carrying my CZ Shadow 2 compact a lot more lately, and I love that gun. It's a little heavier, but it'll eat any ammo I put into it, and the trigger in it's phenomenal.
Hmm.
And you just won't get a trigger like that out of a striker fire gun
Yeah.
at
I
all.
like to carry my 92X, my Beretta.
Yeah,
Same thing, that double action, single action is. But for a someone brand new to it, one of the major brand striker fired guns probably is the way to go.
yeah, and it's for example, like the was it the Springfield Hellcat is really popular.
Yeah.
Um, you can get the Echelon, which is more of a full size. That's a really good one. Beretta, you even as a former Marine, where we were issued Berettas, but ours were abused so bad, we were basically pounding in tent spikes with them. Uh,
Hmm.
I taught my wife how to shoot on a Beretta, and she can hit a fly from 15 feet away. Right? They're phenomenal guns. Even the PX4 Storm is a fantastic gun of the Beretta.
I've been looking at that one. Yeah.
If you get the Langdon Tactical one, man, they do a good job on that thing. My wife's texting me about the Beretta. Um, and the Echelon's good. I would stay away from anything 6 hour. And even just because you can't trust 6 hour anymore, right? Because they've tried to gaslight us all on the 320. Because I've shot the 320. 320 shoots great.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't trust it. You can't carry a gun that will go off without you pulling the trigger, right? And then the fact that they tried to gaslight us on it now makes me suspect of all their other guns. Because the 226 is a great looking gun, and I've shot it. I used to have a 226 chambered 357, and it was a fantastic gun. But
357 SIG, I imagine. Yeah, nice.
And it was issued to like a traffic cop department or whatever, and they had turned it in or whatever. I ended up selling it for something else or traded it in for something else, but I broke my dad's cardinal rule. But
you didn't sell it.
I didn't sell it. I traded it. Actually, I think
That's
I traded
different.
it in for a Kimber, and that was a horrible decision. I shouldn't have done that.
You went,
dude. Brother,
you went from one Cohen company to another Cohen company.
I knew nothing when I first started carrying firearms.
I have a Kimber on the shelf behind me. I shouldn't talk.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
I traded that in and for a Glock. I traded the Kimber in for a Glock, and I got my wife a Ruger LCR. The Ruger LCR is another horrible gun.
I hate that gun so much, man.
We got rid of that one real quick too. But anyway, buy something that you're going to shoot. You need to be shooting at least 500 rounds a year.
At minimum, yeah.
Yeah, you need to be doing at least 500. 50 rounds every couple of weeks, right? Go out and find some good training, find some good instruction. Find somebody around. Stay away from anything NRA. Because anybody can get an NRA license, and I've seen some of the worst training done by NRA instructors. There's a lot of good training out there. If y'all want to DM me and hey, I've been looking at this guy for training, send him to me and I'll look at him for you and see if it's the juice is worth the squeeze. But go out and do some training, right? And do what you can, because you don't want to not know how to shoot your firearm accurately when you need to. Like that's the biggest concern I have for guys that that carry at churches. Like a lot of y'all don't train, and you're in a church full of people, right? And these people are going to be bobbing up and down, and you're going to try shooting over their head, and you're going to end up shooting somebody you don't mean to, right? And so just get some training, but shooting at least 500 rounds a year.
Question for you. I don't know if you being military maybe didn't have this experience, but for me, especially when I first got into carrying, did you ever get dreams or get dreams when like a nightmare where there's some situation you pull your gun, you go to fire and the trigger's like 1,000 pounds and you can't pull it, or you're pulling and it's not working, or something like that.
In my dreams, my guns don't kill anybody. My bullets do nothing, and I don't know why that is. And I always wake up like mad, like I was shot him like 32 times. What did he?
There's been times I've woken up and gone to to my gun and like obviously cleared it and then like tried the trigger. Like the trigger does actually work. What?
I know,
but I've always taken that to mean like get to the range.
Yeah, maybe
like
maybe.
Subconsciously, like maybe I know I'm not shooting enough.
I do a lot of dry fire, especially when I'm at work and I'm in between like meetings or whatever. And so I'll download my mag and make sure it's clear and everything, and I'll just sit there and dry fire. And I think that helps a little bit as well, especially when it comes to the dreams. But it helps with trigger control as well and sight acquisition and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dry fire
for dots.
Yeah, especially for that transitioning from iron sights to a dot has been hard for me. And I didn't know I had an astigmatism till I got a dot, and now my dot looks like a splattered bug on a windshield a little bit, right? And I just kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Finding the dot has always been the hardest thing for me, especially with the Glock, because with the Glock you're aiming more with your thumbs than anything. And so when you're having to really just push it down to find that dot has been, but once you get it, like it comes second nature. And you can, when you have a dot, like you don't even have to be having the dot in the middle of your reticle, really, of your window. Your dot could be off to the corner because you're having to kind of cant yourself a little bit, and it's still shooting where you're putting the dot. Right. That's the nice thing about it. Whereas with like a iron sights, you have to have them properly lined up, proper sight picture. Your front sight post is, clear and your target's blurry, whatever, right? With a dot, it could be, you could have one eye and still hit. It's amazing. It has been the best thing for growing old, right? And like losing my sight a little bit.
Tell the astigmatism gets too bad.
Man, now it makes sense because now when I drive, I just thought I had dirty windshields, but like everybody's lights
At night, you're
are
like,
all
"Wow,
starred
come on."
out. I'm like, I have an astigmatism. It's like somebody told me I had cancer. I have an astigmatism. Like, how long do I have to live?
Don't
Is
the
it
green
genetic?
dots help with that?
Do what?
Isn't that why they make the green dots? Aren't the green dots
That
supposed
doesn't
to help
help.
with that? It doesn't
No,
help.
so yeah, because I've got a green dot on my
Oh, see-
shadow, and it doesn't help. See, that's a wives' tale, I guess. So there's a
Or
company
maybe
called,
you have cancer.
or I have cancer of the eyeballs. So apparently there's a company called Siley that has a anti-astigmatism technology that I've looked at trying to check out.
Aren't they the
That's supposed to be a little bit better.
Chinese brand? That's pretty,
Yeah, but everything's a Chinese brand now.
yeah.
Like even Sig's Red
Sigs are
Dot.
they're made by Holosun, aren't they?
Yeah, Holosun's China. In fact, we can thank the Chinese for us being so well armed when the Chinese invade, right? Because they provide us with all our technology. It's fantastic.
So I just got a PVS 14 today.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
What gen? Gen 3?
2 plus.
2 plus? Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's through Hoplite, the guy who does the digital night vision.
Okay.
So he straight
You
up
love
says
him.
it's a China.
Why do you keep buying stuff from him?
I don't what no one else had it for the price he did. But he
Yeah.
straight up says it's a Chinese tube that he assembled, but whatever.
Well, I mean, because really the tubes you have L3 and Elbit. Elbit's an Israeli company, but they're all over the United States. Like they even have them here in Alabama.
Okay.
They have an Elbit here. It's actually not far from me. So if anything ever happens without rule of law, I know the first place I'm going. But a lot of the tubes, it's not the tube that is so much the issue as far as, because a lot of them are pretty much the same. You're just really worried about like some of the specs on them, but it's the housing that you have to worry about.
Mm.
Right? If the housing is not good, then like you could drop it and it breaks, right?
Right.
My PVS 14 that I had in the Marine Corps, I used to use that thing as a weight to get a line over branches and stuff, right? Like, because it wasn't mine. I didn't care about it. Now mine that I have now, like that thing's like a baby. It's always in its cradle, right?
Well, for the price, yeah, I would hope so.
But the good thing is about having a homestead, I can write that off because I can use it to find my livestock if I lose them.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put it in a show so I can write it off too.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Absolutely. All right. So, but that's all I have for, kind of the wave tops. Did you want to do some questions?
Well, so you only mentioned handgun. You want to?
Yeah, that's a good starter. The thing is with a rifle is it is so easy to go wrong with a rifle. Because everybody's got that buddy that knows how to build rifles, right? Like, hey, I'll build it for you for $250, man. And that thing like doesn't shoot straight, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, or it falls apart. The pins walk out of it. It jams up because the gas tube's all blocked up because they didn't put proper hole, whatever, right? There's always something. With rifles, and we'll have to do a full show on rifles. It has gotten to the point now where you can buy a rifle that you cannot outshoot for years because you just need more training, right?
Mm-hmm.
For about $700, all in, everything attached to it, light, sling, everything, right? But the issue is everyone always wants to spend less. I've only got $400. Well, save up till you got another $400.
Yeah.
It's my suggestion, always start with the pistol, because if you can shoot a pistol, you can shoot a rifle.
Very
Rifles
true.
are a whole lot more forgiving than a pistol. The fundamentals are a little different, but if you can maintain the good sight picture with a pistol, you'll have no problem with a rifle. And then it's just a matter of just getting you to shore up some of the other fundamentals, like a high firm pistol grip, the firm grip on the out front, whether you use a C grip or whatever you use, right? But it's a lot easier. But if you can get used to a pistol first, and then we can move on to a rifle, because you can't carry a rifle with you into Myers. I mean,
Minnesota,
you
you technically can.
You get escorted out.
Yeah, very true.
But,
So is anyone got any questions? Let's see. The one super chat we had was from Bobby with the green dot.
yeah, I didn't like, I've got a green dot on my shadow, and I still have an issue, right? It still looks like a splattered bug. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try that Siley eventually, but I gotta get to a point where I can just drop a couple $100 on something and not worry about it.
Yeah.
Because if I buy it and it still looks the same, well, like, what did I do?
That sucks. Yeah.
Might as well just stay with. Because like right now, I have I use Swamp Fox a lot on mine now. I won't buy a Trijicon red dot. I just don't think the price is worth it. The technology has so outpaced them, and they just really haven't kept up. Now I do have an ACOG on a rifle, so, and I have one ACOG that I like just because it's a little reminiscent of my time in the Marines, because they switched to that about 2 years I was in. But their red dots on pistols, I'm not really fond of at all. All right. Do we have any questions?
I don't see any.
We have a lot of this guy Skidmark, whatever his name is, thinks we have some really bad opinions.
Joe Diodati, who is our resident Australian, who can't probably get one anyways, wants to know what's a great handgun for a beginner.
I mean, I'm always going to default to Glock. One, because you can find them anywhere. They're fairly cheap, and resist people telling you need to upgrade a Glock. You don't need to. The trigger's fine. The sights are fine. Yes, the sights are plastic, but they have a steel core in the middle of them, right? So for me, like when I teach guys, like, failure drills or transition drills, there's a lot of times I'm having to rack the slide off the sights for, because your other arm went down or whatever, right?
Right.
If we're simulating, the sights will hold up fine. I've never had an issue with them. You will not be good enough to outshoot a Glock for years. There is no reason to upgrade. And on top of that, when you do that, you're introducing failure into the gun, right? There's a video going around earlier last week of a guy who basically, created the Glock that didn't have anything Glock in it anymore. It's a bunch of aftermarket parts. And when he would slam his mag home, the gun would go off right, all by itself, because he's now gone past all those tolerances that the Glock is built around, and he's modified it so much. So just buy a Glock, or if you don't like the Glock, if you don't like the grip on the Glock, that's fine. The Springfield Echelon is a great firearm, and there's
MNP, the
MNP 2.0 carry metal frame. If I ever had an extra $900, man, I'd buy that real quick.
I just can't justify that much money for a striking fired gun.
The issue is for me is I already have like 50 Glock mags, right? So then if I buy another firearm, I need to buy more mags for it. And I just don't want to.
Not unless you get the Staccato HD.
Yeah, but then it's a Staccato, right? Like the issue with Staccato is it's going to be a race gun, or it's going to be a comp gun anyway. So I don't really, because I'm not carrying around the Staccato because they're not drop safe at all.
True.
If something happens and I'm wrestling a guy and my gun falls out and it shoots me in the back, like what was the point?
Bobby wanted to know what your MOS was.
DM me, Bobby, and I'll tell you. I don't want to. There's a stigma of guys in my community putting that out.
Fair enough. I think that's all we have for questions. Any final thoughts or words or ideas what you want the next show to be?
I've got a few ideas on the next show, but I think really parting shots would be, just get the information, start learning a little bit about something you don't know about, whether it be food preparation. Like I learned how to can a few years ago, right? Just because I wanted to learn how to do it. And that is a skill that a lot of people could use. just learn a little bit about something you don't know about that will make you less likely to starve or less likely to die. Right. And just do a little bit every day. And don't feel like you have to know everything right now because you've got some time. Right. Just learn a little bit more.
Okay. Well, let's see. Just at about an hour, so that worked out pretty perfectly.
Good.
Um, so I think right now we're planning on doing these hopefully weekly on Monday nights.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and hopefully
If anybody has any show ideas that you want me to go over on something, I'll be happy to do it. We can do medical. I was a paramedic for 5 years, so we can do that. That's a big gap in a lot of people's capability is knowing how to put the white stuff on the red stuff.
yeah.
But if y'all got any ideas and things that you want me to go over, or if I don't know, I'll find someone who does. We could do that.
I think the weekly shows will probably be mostly conversations, but I think it would be cool to pre-record certain things, like maybe you going through, your med kit, or even you doing a tutorial on canning or something like that and uploading them separately.
Yeah, we could do something.
Yeah, so there's
I do want to get Christopher on the show, and I think it's high time for a face reveal for him. Because
good luck convincing him.
he would be. He can wear a mask. I don't care. But he would be great for a medical because that his scope of practice in Texas is so far beyond what mine was in Georgia. Like they're giving like whole blood and everything. Like we couldn't even do like when you get into medicine. A lot of times you're having to basically train to your stupidest paramedic, right? And we have a lot of stupid paramedics in Georgia apparently. Because in Texas, they let them do all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
Paul, if we did a show on hunting, like what would you want to see on it? Like advice or going over
Field dress a
equipment?
deer after you hit it on the highway.
So that's funny that last year, last year was my first year deer hunting. Never done it before. So I had a coworker kind of help me out, getting stuff up, what I needed, and then we hunted about a mile apart from each other.
Mhm.
And neither of us got a deer, but he did come across a deer that he saw someone else hit. So he did throw it in the back of his truck, and we did dress that and
Did you
eat
really?
that. Yeah.
Usually when you hit a deer, like it'll hemorrhage the meat real bad. So you have to be very selective on what meat you take off of it.
Yep.
That's why usually the guys will just, if it's got antlers, they'll take the antlers or they'll take the back straps
Mhm.
because those are usually the less likely that they're going to be affected by getting hit by a car.
Yeah, we lost the right rear quarter of the deer
Okay.
because of that, but
Yeah, you'll be fine. You got all kinds
Yeah.
of good stuff about that deer still. Yeah. Were you going bow or were you using rifle or
rifle.
shotgun? Do y'all have to use shotgun up there?
No, rifle.
You use rifle? Okay.
Yeah, the southern
elk?
Minnesota shotgun, but
Y'all have elk up there, don't you?
no,
You don't
not
have any elk in
anymore.
Minnesota?
But 100 years ago we did. But
We had elk in Kentucky when I was growing up.
they are introducing elk about 2 hours south of me.
Oh yeah.
So if that goes well, hopefully they do more of that. But no, it's really just whitetail. There's some bear hunting, some moose hunting. That's like a once in a lifetime lottery sort of thing
Oh,
with the
really?
moose. But yeah, it's mostly whitetail and small game like grouse.
Yeah. Yeah. We down here in Alabama, our deer are small. It's kind of like across the street from me is a big field, and there's like a construction company over there as well. But it's a big field, and they just hate the guy who owns it lives down the road, and he has like a bunch of cattle, so he hays it. And I see deer over there all the time, and I'm like, those are dogs. Those look like large German shepherds. Those are not deer. What are those?
Our deer, especially in southern Minnesota, get pretty big because of all the farms and stuff. But up here in northern Minnesota, the wolves have made such a comeback that the deer population, not so much. It's been better the last year or two, but we had some really bad winters before that, and the wolves can just hunt the deer so well when the snow's super deep, because they stay on top of the snow and the deer punch right through it. So the deer population's taking a really bad hit because of the wolves, and
I
the
bet.
DNR won't open a wolf season. I think it's been about 10 years since they last did a wolf hunt. So
Man, that's yeah. So now that you have, so kind of backpedal a little bit. So now that you have your PVS 14, are you looking to get thermals now?
I've considered it. I mean, as far as the night vision and thermals, like I'm entirely new to it, right?
Yeah,
But you know, so we can't hunt wolves, but coyotes are free game year round, basically.
yeah.
We don't have a
Brown
ton of coyotes where I am because of all the wolves, but they're getting more and more prevalent. And like we have a coyote that walks right through town here, and I've thought about, I don't know, maybe putting a thermal on a rifle and going to the edge of town and seeing if
man.
I can get them.
Throw it. I mean, you can do it with a 22. Put a suppressor on a 22. Nobody have any idea you even shot a gun.
True.
It is, man. Like a 22 is the most fun gun to shoot with a suppressor on it. I've got a little handgun. It's just a little Kel-Tec P17, and I think I paid like $160 for it. But I throw a suppressor on it, let the kids shoot it. Man, they love it. They love it. And it's just, like I could shoot around if I still lived in the neighborhood. You could shoot in the neighborhood, nobody have any idea.
Yeah.
And it's like 8 cents a round, so it's like super cheap for the really good stuff.
Yeah. I was thinking of, so I have the, what is it? A Jackal 300 Blackout with that I have a can on. And I was thinking maybe I'll use that for a coyote sometime.
Yeah, I built a honey badger we have at home, and from PSA I used a bunch of saber parts, and so I have like it's like a little 8-inch, but I have a suppressor on that, and that's like my home defense because if I'm having to kill somebody, I don't want to wake up the kids, and so
go back to bed, bud. Go back to bed.
Yeah, and so I've got that for the house mostly, but it's shooting it. It's the first time I shot it suppressed. Because then I kept like pushing off getting a suppressor for a long time.
Yeah,
man,
same.
I'm already on like 4 lists. Do I want to be on a 5th list with the government?
I don't want them to have my fingerprints. I don't want them to have, be able to come to my
house.
But
then I realized like I served in the military and they already have my fingerprints, right?
Yeah,
and
true.
I'm already on like 5 different lists, what I did in the military, what else I did in the military. I'm a Catholic, I'm a pro-life Catholic, like I'm already on a bunch of lists, and so I was like, well, I can get a suppressor. So I finally bit the bullet and got a suppressor. And that a 300 Blackout is about, other than a 22, is the only rifle round that is hearing safe to shoot. Like a 5.56, I don't care what kind of suppressor you have on that thing, it is not hearing safe.
No.
The purpose of getting a suppressor on a 5.56 is signature reduction more than anything. And so like don't ever think that if you throw a suppressor on a 5.56, even with subsonic rounds, it's still not hearing safe. But a 300 Blackout definitely is.
Yeah, even then, it still surprised me, at least as the shooter, how loud it was. Like I could tell it was right on the edge. But yeah, if you're a few feet away, even that thing's quiet.
This is so. Crash was saying, he's talking about how somebody had an entirely different story. That is the reason a lot of eyewitness accounts are not valid when it goes to trial, because the way people see events, if you get 2 people together that saw the same event, they will not tell you that it happened the same way, right? So I've got a lot of friends who are police officers and things like that. Eyewitness accounts are entirely unreliable. In fact, prior to really, what was it, like the 1900s when they perfected how to make pane glass? If you saw a crime through that old like cloudy glass, like you couldn't serve as an eyewitness on it at all. So that when it comes in, we've got some people, there are probably some cops in the chat, but eyewitness accounts are entirely unreliable. Yes, we are.
Yeah, so true.
Yes, we are. We have our resident FBI agent at our parish, but he got converted, so we don't have to worry about him.
What's funny is
he's got a bunch of kids, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, so I haven't tried out the PVS 14 yet. I mean, I did in my bathroom a little, like as soon as I got it this afternoon, but it was the only place that was dark enough. But So I've had the digital night vision for a month, maybe 2 months now, and you can walk with it, kind of. But yeah,
But even with the PVS 14, your depth perception is so off. Like driving with those, man, even if you have like if you have dual
mhm,
tubes, your depth perception is so because it's like you're in cartoon world. Everything's
it's
2D,
flat. Yeah.
right? And so it's very hard to drive with it. You have to really get trained on how to use it, especially just walking. I remember, one of my first deployment, we were doing a night op to go snatch up a dude, and um, we had a full moon out, and everybody else had their night vision on, and I took mine off, and I was hauling ass, man. I was going because everybody else is kind of like carefully stepping because there's a
Mhm.
bunch of waddies and little irrigation ditches and everything, and they were very because they couldn't see anything, as depth wise, and I was just flying through this stuff. And I remember we got to the destination. Um, and they're like, man, you were just walking out there like it was nothing. I was like, y'all are dumb. You should have had your PVS 14. It's a full moon. You could see perfectly. What were you doing?
Yep. Anything else? Anyone?
Just reading some of these chats. Let's see. Yes, the FBI is at your TLM. They're at everybody's TLM.
Yeah.
Meat preservation without refrigeration. So if y'all don't know who Brandon Sheard is, he's the Farmstead Meatsmith. You go on Facebook or you go on, find him on YouTube. He is a phenomenal resource for curing with salt specifically. You can also can to preserve meat. The issue is when you can, it superheats the meat and you'll lose some vitamins and such out of it when you do that. But it's, at least you got meat to eat, right? But those are some. But curing, like I'm about to get into curing. I haven't done it yet, and so we have some hams from when we just processed our pigs, and so I've got some hams from them. I'm gonna try curing on them, and so we're gonna see how that goes because we did. He was at a conference I was at, Liturgy of the Lamb with Jason Craig back in December in North Carolina, and he was there, man, and like the prosciutto and stuff he had, man, it was phenomenal. It was so good. Yeah.
You have cows too, right?
Yep.
Have you thought of like curing your own briskets for corned beef?
I would.
I know it's a little different, but
Yeah, like I love corned beef, right? But the issue is like none of my family probably would like it.
oh really?
So I don't. It'd be kind of a wait. Like I have to introduce it to them first before I looked at doing. But I wouldn't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
We have Dexters. Dexters are a smaller cow. They're much better for homesteads than like Angus or Holsteins or whatever, right? And so we've got 4 acres of pasture. I've got 8 cows, and it's fine. I've got no issue. I could probably deal with an extra acre or 2 or get rid of a cow or 2, but of the 8, we're probably going to process 2 this fall, and we're going to sell 2 of our calves that we had this year, and we'll just keep the 4 mamas, and because they're all bred and they'll all calf early next year. Because we milk, we drink raw milk around here.
Yeah.
My wife makes cheese occasionally, and it's the mamas are what we're really focused on. With Dexter's, unlike an Angus where you can grow it out in about 9 months to a year, Dexter's you really got to do about 2 years to grow them out.
Okay. What is the worst self defense advice? Other than women should always have the little hammerless J frame revolvers,
I actually don't even mind that. Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and the reason for it is, what's his name from Thunder Ranch? Had a good take on it. If you have a striker fire pistol, right? Because what is the most time that a woman is going to use a firearm? It's when she's being assaulted in some way.
Yep.
It's usually a man right on top of her. If you take a striker fire pistol out and shove it in that guy's ribs and try to pull the trigger, it won't go off because it's taking the pistol out of battery. Now, a small J-frame revolver, she can shove that guy in his ribs all day, every day, and just unload till he's gone, right? So I don't mind that so much.
Yeah.
But
for anyone who doesn't know what he's talking about, if you have if you have a semi-automatic pistol here, and it gets pushed back even slightly, the trigger will not actually fire because you put it out of battery. So if you push that into someone at
Yeah.
close range, you probably will not be able to fire it.
Yeah. So if it's in his ribs real bad and it goes even out of battery a little bit, it won't go off. Right. So I don't mind that so much. What's the worst? Man, there's been so many. Like the worst, like medical one that comes is, it's put tampons in a bullet wound.
Yeah.
Right. You don't understand what a tampon's used for. I mean, like it's to draw blood out. Well, that's not what you want to do in a bullet wound. You want to stop blood from coming out. Right. So that's as far as medical, that's the big one that I see. For concealed carry, it's probably the people who carry a pistol who've never shot it or don't ever shoot it. Right. And that's why it's such a big stress to get training. At least just go out and get used to shooting it.
And for me, it's those, those super small guns, like you said, that people will carry, but even if they go shoot them a couple times, that will be it because they're not nice to shoot.
Well, yeah, and they're uncomfortable to shoot, right? I'd rather you carry a little 22, right? That's easy to shoot than carry nothing, or carry a gun that that you hate shooting. You've got to like what you shoot. Tips on carrying at a county fair: stay away from people who have AI, is what I would suggest.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
I was talking to who was it? Somebody on X earlier yesterday or today maybe, and she was excited about going to her state fair. I'm like, your all state fair isn't a bunch of gang activity? Like every state fair I've ever been to has been a bunch of gang activity.
Yeah, it's one reason why I won't go to the Minnesota State Fair anymore. It's like at our county fair, they can't stop you from carrying, right? Because it's public land, public event. So the Minnesota law is you can carry there. Well, they've passed laws specifically banning firearms from the state fairgrounds. So I cannot carry, and they do have, well, at the very least, it's security theater at the entrances, right? So it's probable that they would catch me trying to carry into the fair, but yet there are people that jump over the fences every year, and there's always one or two shootings at the state fair from the people who jump over the fences, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I've never been to it. Like even growing up in Kentucky, right? Like our state fair, like especially my late teens, so like the late 90s, early 2000s, it got real bad, man. There was gang activity all over the place all the time. So like I've just never considered going to the state fair again. I thought they were all like that.
Yeah.
Why would I go to a state fair? I don't want to get shot. Like, why would I go somewhere I know I'm going to get shot at? That doesn't make any sense. Like, it's different if I'm getting paid to go do it.
Let's see. Was there any others here?
Constitutional carry is not all it's cracked up to be. Because like a lot of people who are going to carry anyway, right? And usually all concealed carry licenses, all they are is a fundraising for the local sheriff department.
Yeah.
That's really, again, it comes down to consequences. What are you willing to put up with? Like if you're not legally allowed to carry in somewhere, like you have to be able to accept the consequences if you do. Is your family's life worth jail? Right. So it's something everybody has to consider.
Yeah, it all comes down to a risk calculation. Like, and that's everything in life.
Yeah.
Like it's, carrying into a post office, that's a federal, so you cannot legally do it. Am I willing to risk a federal felony to, for the 5 minutes I'm at the local post office? Probably not. I'll take, I'll lock it in the car if I'm running to the post office. But, am I willing to get trespassed from the mall to carry you in the mall for a couple of hours with all the local scholars? Yeah, I'm going to carry in that mall. That's for sure.
All the joggers running around. It's just really like about the only place I won't carry somewhere they have metal detectors because I can't.
Yep.
And but those places are usually pretty well staffed with like sheriffs or something. But other than that, I'm usually carrying anywhere.
With the birth of our latest kid, we had to go to the hospital, and I tend to like to carry in hospitals no matter what. Now in Minnesota, if it's a state hospital, like a VA hospital, that's a felony. If it's a private hospital, then it's like carrying anywhere else. They can say don't carry, but worst they can do is trespass you.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to know your state's laws, because every state's a little bit different on what they allow. Like in Alabama, we can carry in the post office, and that was actually just recently decided that a state Supreme Court ruled against that. So we can carry, which it doesn't make any sense why you couldn't carry in the post office. Like they don't deal with money hardly anymore. So like why? Like that was the whole reason for it. Is because they sold like $2 bills and stuff like that, right? But yeah, it's so important to know your local laws as far as what you can and can't do. Even if it means if you're going to be breaking a regulation, like if somebody has a sign that does carry some type of weight in the law, like what are your options if you get caught? Right? Say they catch you, like can they arrest you or do they have to trespass you? Is whatever, right? So you just how you can prepare for that.
We didn't go in the NICU, okay? So it didn't make its way into the NICU.
Didn't your kid get light therapy or something?
What was that?
Did your kid get light therapy?
Yeah, that's pretty common though. Nowadays they just bring a couple lights into the room for you. Like
it is so like they just assume like all the worst about babies and just make them take all these, these precautions that you don't need. Like Hep B, like what babies are going to be sexually active? Well, other than the Amish,
or like so like the vitamin K shot, we decided to decline because the real need for that is it helps with the clotting factors before they're able to produce it on their own. And if you're not doing a circumcision, you don't really need it, but they make you sign like a waiver basically saying, yes, I acknowledge we're not giving to the kid and the hospital's not at fault if the kid dies from from bleeding, stuff like that. But like what sucks is Sebastian had a tongue tie. Iggy had one and had his snipped. I had one when I was young and had it snipped. But they would not snip the tongue tie without the vitamin K. So we did have to give him the vitamin K for that. But
yeah, like if I only knew then what I know now,
same.
Like I'd have done so many things different.
Oh no.
How's this going in here?
No, we said this was a no Italian zone. You get out.
I'm surprised you're up.
I was on with Majorian and those guys tonight, and I hopped off, and then I was watching you guys for a little bit, and I was like,
how many Nietzsche quotes did you have to suffer through?
How many what?
Nietzsche quotes?
Oh my gosh. No, you laid off tonight. You know what it is when I get on a show, I kind of take over and don't allow people to talk about what they want to talk about.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we did. We talked about that. That did come up.
How'd tonight go?
Good.
Well, I had to show up late. Yeah, I wanted to make Rob comfortable. I didn't want to transition too much for him.
How you been, Adrian? I haven't talked to you in a while.
It has been a while. How you been?
Not bad.
My wife, the Avoiding Babylon shirt, my wife likes to steal all my clothes, and so that's been the only one I've been able to keep her from stealing so far.
Just because she doesn't want that one?
My daughters do that. My daughters raid my freaking drawers every night and just go steal my shirts, and they all just walk around the house in my shirts every day.
Mm-hmm. And the bad part is like my wife looks a lot better in my clothes than I do. I just give her a little bit of crap, just to make her feel a little bit bad about it, but I don't mind it.
Wait, so I did tell the guys I had to go, and I do. I actually just took melatonin. I'm gonna only stay. I just wanted to say hello. I haven't talked to Rob in
it's been a while.
Yeah, we text a little bit, but I haven't talked to him in a while. So Rob, I think tomorrow we'll I think we're gonna try the advice show tomorrow.
Oh boy.
We'll see how that goes.
Just me and you,
and we're gonna put the StreamYard link in the YouTube description, and we're just gonna let random people pop on the show and ask advice questions.
Oh,
We'll
it's been a
see
while
how it
since I
goes.
pulled out whiskey. We might have to do that.
That actually would be a fun drinking show. That would be a fun drinking show. We'll see
Man.
how it goes.
The
But
clips
no,
from that are going to be amazing.
they'll be good clips. That's exactly it. Like
Exactly,
you just do,
exactly.
like people come on, they ask a question, and then you could just post the clip of the question and see how those go. The clips would be amazing from it. So
Rob's going to get so many shorts from that. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
the problem is it's a lot of work for Rob. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You have to.
I mean,
put
I
the
don't need
thumbnails.
sleep, right?
Is the baby sleeping through the night?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's great.
Mm.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll do our catching up tomorrow. I just wanted to pop in and say hello.
How quickly do we get kicked? Yeah. No, you have no idea how many texts I got today about how much he hates the guy on Dave Ramsey.
I've never hate watched a show before. I hate watch John Deloney. Like every single clip, I'm screaming at my iPad. I'm like, this guy is the worst human being in the world. And then today I saw that Lila Rose interviewed him last year. So I'm like, the two most evil people in the world sat down for a conversation. I should maybe listen to it and see how quickly they advise divorce, because that's all he does. Women will have like a perfectly, like they'll be like, no, I'm not in an abusive relationship. And he's like, you're being abused, honey. You need to go see a lawyer and you need to get divorced right now. It's insane.
I used to hate watch Matt Fradd for a while.
Always has to go to
Just-
the lawyer.
What? Because like I would watch it and I would like ask a hard question. Ask a hard question. Just ask anything. It's something that it's hard to watch.
I hate watched Anthony when he first started.
Yeah, that's true. I see Cavazzo's cut a little clip from Matt Fradd today. He's got a lot of views on that.
He did, and a lot of people said his is actually better than watching Matt Fradd's.
Let me see. Let's see how Nick's views are doing. Yeah, he's got like 9,000 views on his Matt Fradd. And it's funny because I actually saw Matt talk about the SSPX and I screen recorded it and I was going to pop it up on X today. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And then Nick pops up with his little video. And I was like, oh, maybe I should have done it. Probably would have got some. You guys can't do a show if you're yawning and falling asleep. Like I came on here to bring a little energy to the show.
Oh my gosh.
Who's young?
You gotta have a little bit of energy when you do one of these guys. You can't fall asleep as you do.
Rob's having to carry the show. I didn't talk at all.
Oh, whatever. You talk less than Anthony, that's for sure. But
Well, because I wanted you to be able to say something. That's called a conversational pause.
Well,
when are we gonna tell people a little bit about what's happening?
soon. Well, I want to just get the okay first. As soon as we get the okay, we're gonna come out guns blazing. But yeah, I want to wait until we have the okay first. So
Okay.
but yeah, Rob, me and you tomorrow. We'll come up with a good title name, and then I think we'll do like a main subject, and then we'll just pop the link up in the YouTube description. We'll throw it, but it's like Russian roulette. You never know what you're gonna get. We'll see what happens. Could be a doozy, could be terrible.
Sounds exciting.
It'll be fun. Don't worry. I make everything fun. Don't worry. All right. I'm gonna run, boys. It was nice seeing you. Adrian, it's good talking to you again, bud.
You do.
I'll see you guys.
I suppose with that we should probably end the show.
Yeah, let's end it there.
Yeah, before he decides he wasn't.
Yeah, he'll pop in
talking.
again.
Yeah,
We stay
exactly.
on. Yeah, it'd be bad.
So I guess we're doing an advice show tomorrow. Thursday we're having Hitchborn on, so that will be crazy and good, I'm sure. And then next Monday, hopefully, unless something comes
Yep.
up, we'll do this again. So
And I'm gonna send you the notes.
good.
Okay.
I
Make
like
sure you
being
look at them
prepared.
before the day of.
And except for it's very different than Anthony popping on and saying, "Hey, tomorrow we're going to have random people on the show asking you random questions you're not going to be prepared for."
But he's good with that, so that's his
He-
thing.
That's his thing. You're right.
If he prepared, it would be a horrible show.
Yes, that's true. The shows he has prepared for have been boring. So
Yes. They are. All right. I'm gonna let y'all go and y'all have a good night.
yep. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you later.